Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about a moment that captured the attention of millions, a moment when India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar addressed criticism with remarkable clarity and confidence. Strong leadership is not just about holding a position of power or making decisions. It is about embodying vision, clarity, and courage in moments that demand both. True leaders are defined by their ability to respond to challenges with a balance of firmness and wisdom, guiding not only those they lead, but also setting an example for others to follow. When S. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, addressed criticism with remarkable poise, he demonstrated a form of leadership that goes beyond politics. It is a model of integrity, preparation, and strategic thinking. Leadership, in this sense, is not measured by the ability to react impulsively, but by the ability to respond thoughtfully, decisively, and effectively. In an era where misinformation spreads rapidly and opinions often overshadow facts, leaders who can navigate these waters with composure are invaluable. Jaishankar's response was a perfect illustration of this principle. He confronted a narrative that was misrepresenting India, but rather than responding emotionally or defensively, he relied on knowledge, logic, and well-grounded facts. By doing so, he set a standard for how national representatives should engage with criticism, assertively yet respectfully. This demonstrates that strong leadership is not about dominating the conversation with noise or aggression, but about commanding it with substance and insight. Furthermore, leadership involves the courage to stand by one's principles even under scrutiny or international attention. Jaishankar's handling of the situation reflected a deep understanding of India's place in the world and the responsibility that comes with representing a diverse and complex nation. Leaders often face moments when external pressures test their resolve, and it is in these moments that true leadership emerges. By addressing criticism directly, clearly, and confidently, he showed that effective leadership is rooted in conviction and the willingness to defend one's nation without compromise. This is particularly important in diplomacy, where words carry weight not only domestically, but also on the international stage. A leader's ability to articulate their position with clarity while maintaining respect for differing opinions establishes credibility and reinforces trust among both citizens and global peers. Jaishankar's approach exemplified this balance. He made a point firmly yet intelligently, ensuring that the message resonated widely and left no room for misinterpretation. Strong leadership also inspires others. When people witness a leader standing confidently and thoughtfully in the face of challenges, it cultivates a sense of trust, respect, and motivation among those who follow. Leadership is contagious in this sense. It creates a culture of accountability, courage, and strategic thinking. By responding to criticism with a calm but unyielding defense of truth, Jaishankar not only protected India's narrative, but also set an example for how citizens, diplomats, and public figures alike can approach difficult conversations. This kind of leadership does not merely aim for temporary victories. It builds long-term credibility and fosters an environment where informed discussion and mutual respect can thrive. Strong leadership, as exemplified by Jaishankar, is about vision, courage, integrity, and the ability to respond effectively to challenges. It is about commanding respect through knowledge rather than fear, inspiring confidence through clarity rather than loudness, and defending principles with both firmness and tact. In a world filled with rapid judgments and fleeting narratives, leaders like him remind us that true leadership is timeless. It is defined not by the moments that test us, but by the wisdom, preparation, and resolve we bring to those moments. In today's world, where information travels faster than ever, the line between truth and exaggeration is often blurred. Sensationalism, the practice of presenting information in a way that provokes strong emotional reactions rather than conveys accurate facts, has become a dominant force in media and social discourse. While it may grab attention momentarily, it rarely leads to understanding or meaningful dialogue. True leadership, however, is grounded in the ability to prioritize facts over fleeting sensationalism. When S. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, responded to criticism, he exemplified this principle. His approach was not driven by the desire to dominate headlines or to provoke emotional reactions, but by a clear commitment to presenting the truth. This distinction is critical because responding to misinformation with emotion or theatrics often amplifies the very falsehoods one seeks to correct. By relying on facts, evidence, and reasoned argumentation, Jaishankar ensured that his message was credible, impactful, and enduring. He demonstrated that facts, when communicated effectively, carry far more weight than any sensationalized claim. Prioritizing facts over sensationalism requires preparation, insight, and courage. It is easier to react impulsively or emotionally, especially when faced with criticism or misrepresentation. But strong leaders resist this temptation. They understand that the long-term consequences of their response matter more than immediate applause. By addressing claims with accuracy and reason, Jaishankar reaffirmed India's position as a nation capable of defending itself with intelligence and authority. He provided a measured yet powerful rebuttal, making it clear that misinformation cannot replace the truth. In doing so, he underscored the value of evidence-based communication and the importance of holding public discourse to a higher standard. Leaders who embrace facts over sensationalism create an environment where discussions are grounded in reality, encouraging thoughtful engagement rather than impulsive reactions. Responding with facts rather than theatrics strengthens credibility. In an era dominated by social media, where every statement can be shared, dissected, and scrutinized within seconds, credibility is invaluable. Jaishankar's fact-based approach reinforced India's image as a country that speaks with authority and clarity, rather than one that reacts defensively or emotionally to every criticism. This not only enhances India's standing on the global stage, but also serves as a lesson for citizens, public figures, and policymakers alike. It shows that knowledge, research, and clear reasoning are more persuasive than sensational headlines or viral moments. Facts have staying power. They withstand scrutiny and can shape lasting understanding, whereas sensationalism is often fleeting, leaving behind confusion or resentment. Fact over sensationalism is also a principle of responsible leadership. Leaders are tasked with representing their people and their nation accurately. Missteps or exaggerated reactions can erode trust and lead to misinterpretations that have far-reaching consequences. By choosing to respond with truth and clarity, Jaishankar not only defended India's narrative, but also demonstrated respect for his audience, both domestic and international. He acknowledged that informed communication is not merely about winning arguments, it is about maintaining integrity and fostering a culture where truth is valued over noise. Prioritizing facts empowers others to think critically. When leaders model fact-based responses, they encourage citizens, colleagues, and observers to seek evidence, question assumptions, and engage thoughtfully. This ripple effect strengthens institutions, public discourse, and society as a whole. Jaishankar's example shows that in a world rife with sensationalism, the most effective way to assert authority and influence opinion is through the careful presentation of facts. It is not the loudest voice, but the most informed and reasoned one that commands respect and drives meaningful change. Sovereignty and national pride are the cornerstones of a nation's identity, shaping the way it interacts with the world and how its citizens perceive themselves. Sovereignty is not just a political or legal concept. It is the embodiment of a nation's right to make its own decisions, to protect its interests, and to chart its unique path without undue interference. National pride, on the other hand, is the emotional connection people feel toward their country, a sense of belonging, respect, and admiration for its history, achievements, and values. When these two elements converge, they form a powerful foundation that allows a country to assert itself confidently on the global stage. S. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, in responding to criticism, exemplified how leadership rooted in sovereignty and national pride can command respect and foster a clear, authentic narrative. At its core, sovereignty is about independence and the ability to make choices aligned with a nation's best interests. In today's interconnected world, countries are often subjected to scrutiny advice, or even pressure from external actors who may not fully understand local contexts, traditions, or priorities. While international dialogue and cooperation are essential, it is equally important for a nation to retain control over its decisions and maintain the freedom to represent itself on its own terms. Jaishankar's response demonstrated a firm commitment to this principle. By addressing misrepresentations decisively, he reinforced the idea that India is not a passive observer in global discourse. It is an active participant with its own voice, values, and authority. Such leadership sends a clear signal. While the world may offer opinions, the nation retains the right and responsibility to define its narrative and protect its interests. National pride, closely intertwined with sovereignty, is the emotional dimension that motivates citizens and leaders alike to defend their country's image and achievements. Pride in one's nation is not about blind nationalism. Rather, it is a recognition of the country's history, culture, accomplishments, and the collective effort of its people. When a nation's image is challenged or misrepresented, defending it becomes an act of both responsibility and integrity. Jaishankar's response to criticism was not merely reactive. It reflected a deep respect for India's identity, accomplishments, and the people who contribute to its strength. By asserting India's position firmly yet respectfully, he modeled the idea that national pride can coexist with diplomacy and reasoned discourse. Sovereignty and national pride provide a lens through which all international interactions are framed. When a country speaks from a position of self-respect, it commands attention and encourages others to engage more thoughtfully. A nation that values its sovereignty is better equipped to negotiate, collaborate, and assert itself without being swayed by external pressures or sensationalist narratives. Jaishankar's approach illustrated this principle in action. He did not resort to anger or hostility. Instead, he highlighted facts and principles demonstrating that defending sovereignty is not about confrontation. It is about clarity, dignity, and consistency. Sovereignty and national pride also inspire citizens to take pride in their collective identity and contribute positively to their country's progress. When leaders publicly defend national interests, they reinforce the sense of shared responsibility among citizens. People are reminded that their nation's reputation and sovereignty are not abstract concepts. They are lived experiences shaped by actions, decisions, and discourse. Jaishankar's measured yet assertive response encouraged a sense of confidence and unity, showing that protecting national dignity is both a leadership responsibility and a collective endeavor. Sovereignty and national pride are essential to a nation's identity, global standing, and the confidence of its citizens. They allow a country to make independent choices, protect its interests, and assert its narrative with authority. Jaishankar's response exemplified how a leader can defend these principles effectively through clarity, courage, and respect, reinforcing the idea that true national strength lies not just in power, but in the dignity, integrity, and pride with which a nation represents itself to the world. Diplomacy is often misunderstood as mere negotiation or compromise, but true diplomacy is far deeper. It is the art of representing a nation's interests while maintaining respect, clarity, and integrity in a world where words travel faster than actions and where public opinion can be shaped instantly. The way a nation communicates matters as much as the policies it implements. The diplomacy with dignity goes beyond formal statements or protocols. It reflects a mindset in which firmness is balanced with respect, where assertiveness does not become aggression, and where national interests are advanced without compromising ethical principles. S. Jaishankar, India's external affairs minister, exemplified this ideal when responding to criticism, demonstrating that dignified diplomacy is both powerful and persuasive. At the heart of diplomacy with dignity lies the understanding that every interaction, whether in international forums, bilateral negotiations, or public discourse, carries weight. Words spoken by a national representative are interpreted not just as personal opinions, but as reflections of the country itself. Jaishankar's response was measured, fact-based, and confident, reflecting an awareness that dignified diplomacy requires both preparation and composure. By responding calmly yet decisively, he ensured that the message conveyed authority without descending into hostility. This approach demonstrates that diplomacy is most effective when it communicates respect for both one's own nation and for others, creating an environment where dialogue can occur even amid disagreement. Dignity in diplomacy also entails the ability to separate emotion from principle. In many cases, leaders face criticism that is provocative, misleading, or even unfair. A reaction driven by anger may satisfy immediate emotional impulses, but it risks undermining credibility and reducing complex issues to mere disputes. Jaishankar's handling of the situation showed that dignified diplomacy is rooted in principle rather than emotion. By focusing on facts, historical context, and reasoned argument, he elevated the conversation, turning a potentially inflammatory situation into an opportunity to assert India's perspective clearly and authoritatively. This approach reinforces the idea that diplomacy is not about dominating or humiliating others, but about asserting one's position while fostering mutual understanding. Furthermore, diplomacy with dignity strengthens a nation's global reputation. In the interconnected world of international relations, how a country responds to criticism can shape perceptions for years. Leaders who communicate with dignity earn respect, not only for themselves, but for the institutions they represent. Jaishankar's response projected confidence, intelligence, and strategic awareness, signaling that India is a nation capable of defending its interests intelligently and responsibly. This demonstrates that dignified diplomacy is not passive, it is an active, deliberate practice that commands attention and earns credibility. Another critical aspect of dignified diplomacy is its role in inspiring domestic audiences. Citizens look to their leaders not only for protection of national interests, but also for examples of integrity, composure, and courage. When leaders respond with dignity, they reinforce social norms of reasoned discussion, respect, and accountability. Jaishankar's handling of the situation modeled how one can engage firmly yet respectfully, showing that strength does not require aggression and that defending one's nation can be done with grace. This approach cultivates confidence, pride, and a sense of shared responsibility among the people, strengthening both national unity and civic engagement. Diplomacy with dignity is a long-term investment in a nation's influence. While impulsive or sensational reactions may produce temporary attention, dignified communication builds trust, fosters partnerships, and lays the foundation for sustainable international relationships. Jaishankar's fact-based, respectful, and assertive response illustrates this principle, demonstrating that true diplomatic success is measured not by momentary headlines, but by lasting credibility, strategic clarity, and ethical conduct. Diplomacy with dignity is about representing a nation with authority, integrity, and respect. It combines firmness with tact, assertiveness with composure, and national interest with ethical principle. Jaishankar's example shows that in a world prone to sensationalism and reactionary discourse, dignified diplomacy not only protects a nation's image, but also enhances its global influence, inspires its citizens, and reinforces the values of truth, respect, and thoughtful engagement. In the age of social media, information travels at an unprecedented speed. A single post, tweet, or video can reach millions within minutes, often shaping opinions before the facts are fully understood. This environment, while powerful for connectivity and communication, also carries significant risks. Misunderstandings, misinformation, and exaggerated narratives can spread quickly, influencing public perception and international discourse alike. In this context, the response of leaders to criticism becomes more critical than ever. S. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, provides a powerful lesson in how to navigate this digital era effectively, responding to misinformation with calm, factual clarity rather than succumbing to impulsive reactions or emotional outbursts. The first lesson from this moment is the importance of preparation. Social media often accelerates discussions, creating pressure to respond immediately. However, hasty reactions can amplify errors or be misinterpreted. Effective leaders understand that timing matters, but preparation matters more. Jaishankar's response illustrates that careful thought, grounded in research and facts, ensures that one's message withstands scrutiny. By calmly addressing criticism, he set an example of how leaders can rise above the noise and present a coherent, credible narrative. In an era where anyone with an internet connection can voice opinions that reach a global audience, preparation ensures that official responses maintain authority, accuracy, and strategic impact. The second lesson is the value of clarity over sensationalism. Social media thrives on attention-grabbing content, often favoring emotional reactions over rational discourse. Leaders, however, must resist the temptation to match sensationalism with spectacle. Jaishankar's approach was a masterclass in clarity. He addressed the core issues, presented evidence, and conveyed India's perspective with precision. This demonstrates that truth, when communicated effectively, has far greater staying power than viral exaggeration. In the social media era, clarity not only reinforces credibility, but also educates audiences, helping them separate fact from fiction. Another key lesson is the role of dignity in digital communication. Social media can be a double-edged sword. While it allows direct engagement, it also exposes leaders to immediate criticism and scrutiny. How one responds in such a public forum shapes perception, not just in the moment, but over the long term. Jaishankar's measured, composed, and respectful rebuttal reflects the principle that dignity in response enhances authority. Responding emotionally or aggressively may satisfy immediate impulses, but it risks undermining credibility and the broader national narrative. Leaders who model dignified engagement set a standard for discourse, encouraging thoughtful interaction rather than reactionary argument. The social media era also underscores the importance of adaptability. Platforms, trends, and public sentiment change rapidly, demanding that leaders remain attentive and responsive without being reactive. Jaishankar's handling of criticism demonstrates adaptability. He acknowledged the commentary, addressed it thoughtfully, and ensured the response aligned with India's strategic and diplomatic objectives. This lesson extends beyond diplomacy. It is relevant to anyone navigating public communication today. Adapting to the pace of digital discourse while maintaining factual integrity is a skill that separates effective leadership from superficial engagement. This moment teaches the broader lesson of empowerment through example. Leaders who respond thoughtfully in the digital age inspire citizens, public figures, and institutions to value evidence-based discussion, critical thinking, and respectful dialogue. Jaishankar's response encourages audiences to question assumptions, verify information, and engage constructively rather than react impulsively. In doing so, it helps cultivate a culture of informed discourse that strengthens society, reinforces national pride, and enhances international reputation. The social media era presents unique challenges and opportunities. Rapid information flow, widespread scrutiny, and the potential for misinformation make thoughtful, strategic communication essential. Jaishankar's response exemplifies how leaders can navigate this complex landscape through preparation, clarity, dignity, adaptability, and leading by example. In an age where noise can easily overshadow truth, his approach reminds us that reason, fact-based, and respectful communication is not only the most effective way to address criticism, but also the most enduring. Leadership is not only about guiding a nation through policies, diplomacy, or international relations. It is also about inspiring citizens to believe in themselves, their country, and the values that shape their society. Inspiration is a powerful force. It motivates individuals to act responsibly, fosters a sense of pride and ownership, and encourages active participation in the collective progress of a nation. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, provides a clear example of how effective leadership can inspire citizens through integrity, courage, and a steadfast commitment to truth. His response to criticism demonstrates that when leaders act with confidence and principle, they not only protect national interests but also empower the people to embrace their own role in the nation's narrative. One of the primary ways leaders inspire citizens is by modeling the behavior they wish to see in society. When Jaishankar responded to misrepresentation with clarity, dignity, and factual reasoning, he set an example for millions of citizens who look to public figures for guidance. In a world where social media often amplifies reactionary responses, his composed and reasoned approach highlighted the importance of measured, thoughtful engagement. Citizens witnessing such leadership are reminded that strength does not come from aggression, noise, or emotional reactions. It comes from preparation, knowledge, and the courage to stand by one's principles. This modeling of behavior is critical because it provides tangible lessons that individuals can emulate in their own lives, whether in personal interactions, professional settings, or civic participation. Inspiration also stems from the ability of leaders to communicate national pride and shared values. When a leader defends the country's interests firmly and respectfully, it evokes a sense of belonging and unity among citizens. Jaishankar's response was not only about addressing an external critique, it was a statement that India, as a nation, deserves respect and recognition for its sovereignty, achievements, and contributions to the world. Such demonstrations of national pride instill confidence among citizens, reminding them that their identity and heritage are valued and defended at the highest levels. This reinforcement of shared values encourages individuals to take pride in their nation, which in turn fosters social cohesion and collective responsibility. Another dimension of inspiration lies in demonstrating the power of knowledge and preparation. Citizens are inspired when they see that challenges, whether domestic or international, can be met not with fear or impulsive reactions, but with careful thought, research, and reasoned argument. Jaishankar's fact-based approach illustrated that intelligence, preparation, and strategic thinking are far more effective than sensationalism or emotional outbursts. This lesson resonates with citizens at all levels, emphasizing the importance of informed decision-making and rational engagement in daily life. When leaders show that knowledge is power, it motivates citizens to value learning, critical thinking, and responsible action. Leadership also inspires by fostering confidence and resilience in the face of criticism or adversity. In a complex world, citizens inevitably encounter challenges that test their resolve, whether in their professional lives, social interactions, or civic responsibilities. By standing firm in defending national interests with dignity, Jaishankar provided a model of resilience, showing that setbacks, misrepresentation, or criticism can be addressed constructively. Citizens observing such leadership are encouraged to approach their own challenges with confidence, knowing that integrity, preparation, and courage are the most effective tools to navigate adversity. Inspired citizens are empowered citizens. When leaders act with principle and integrity, they create an environment where individuals feel responsible for contributing positively to society. Jaishankar's example encourages citizens to engage thoughtfully in public discourse, respect truth, and uphold values that strengthen the nation. Inspiration, therefore, is not passive. It motivates action, responsibility, and participation. It reinforces the idea that the nation's progress is a shared endeavor where every citizen has a role to play in shaping its present and future. Inspiration for citizens arises from leadership that embodies integrity, courage, and vision. Jaishankar's composed, fact-based, and dignified response demonstrates that leadership can empower individuals to act responsibly, think critically, and take pride in their nation. By modeling principled behavior, defending shared values, and demonstrating resilience, leaders provide citizens with the tools to navigate challenges, engage constructively, and contribute meaningfully to the nation's journey. True inspiration, as illustrated in this example, extends far beyond speeches or headlines. It shapes character, strengthens society, and fosters a collective commitment to progress and integrity.